Hey, what's up, everybody? Brennan Morse here for Red State. The transgenderism in sports debate has been ongoing for some time now, and it's safe to say that most people don't really agree with it, but the powers that be do. They think that it's woke and cool and progressive to put men in women's sports, and the other way around, though, you see that far less, and you will know why, because they tend to win a lot less. If at all. But men in women's sports are a dominating factor. So the ongoing debate has, really gotten heated on many separate occasions. And I'm not even just talking about in sports, in fact. I mean just talking about, men moving into women's spaces in general has gotten heated. The transgender movement has really, really ramped up the vitriol. They've gotten very, very, very angry at everyone from men to politicians to actual women. And they hate women more than anything. Just look at the way they're trying to dominate and cancel J.K. Rowling simply for speaking out on behalf of women who need defending from these cancel culture mobs. But now, because the vitriol has gotten so heated, because it's gotten turned up to 11, the mask is starting to slip a little bit. It's really starting to come through. You're starting to see these transgender women really turn up the heat. So I'm going to show you something, and I found it very fascinating. I found it very interesting. This right here is a TikToker by the name of Miss Misty Violet. Miss Misty Violet. Obviously, you can tell by the makeup that's not a woman. I don't know many women that actually have that kind of makeup. But he has a message for all his fellow transgenders out there who are in sports, who are trying to infiltrate women's sports and dominate them. Let's go ahead and take a listen. By the way, like this video if you like what I'm saying, and leave a comment telling me what you think. So let's go ahead and listen in.
All trans people should participate in the sports in the gender that they identify as, and that we should continue to beat the shit out of all cisgendered people in their sports and prove to them that we are more dominant and better at everything than they are.
Okay, well, first off, I like the fact that he didn't even try to hide the voice. His message to everybody was, to his fellow transgendered people, was infiltrate the sport and proceed to beat everybody, with a little cursing, at their own game to prove that we're better. We're superior. Kind of let the mask slip there a little bit. It was never really, ever, about acceptance. And that's what we were fed for the longest time. We need to be accepted for who we are. This is the core of our very being. You're a bigot if you can't accept that. We didn't never do anything to you. We're always under attack. We're always the victims. This was never about acceptance. This is always about domination. Always. You can look at it in various ways, and sports being probably the most obvious one. You have so many, like Leah Thomas out there, dominating women and pretending like it's okay. Clearly, if you just look at the pictures of him compared to the women that he competes against, it's like David versus Goliath. All right. You have bike competitions where a man will claim that he's a woman, go out and win the biking competition, and then start to cancel or try to cancel the women who speak out against him, who competed against him. Always about domination. You could tell by the way a more famous trans TikToker named Dylan Mulvaney basically threatened women, saying that if you don't stop with your disagreement with me and start trying to argue about me and trying to push me out of your spaces and this and that and this and that, then something bad might happen to you in the future when what I'm doing becomes more acceptable. It was a veiled threat. I'm going to link the video right now. It's at the top of your screen. This was never about acceptance. It was always, always, always about domination. By the way, this is the guy telling every trans person to go and beat the S out of all the cisgender people very interesting that you see a lot of this idea of being cisgendered people being geared toward women's sports. It's very, very, very rarely ever geared toward men's sports. And there's a reason for that. Men are physically stronger. They are built differently than women. They are built for physical activity. They have a denser bone structure, denser muscle structure, deeper lung capacity. Everything about them is built to be physically dominating. Okay, so that's why when a man steps into the ring with a woman, he tends to win physical altercations. And when I say step into the ring, I mean that very literally. Fallon Fox, a mixed martial arts fighter, has stepped into the ring with many women and beaten the tar out of them. One of the women that he beat the tar out of said, "I've never been hit like that. Never been hit like that." This is not an okay thing. It has never been okay. Okay, men need to stay out of women's sports. They need to let them compete fairly. But they don't want that. They don't want that. Of all the things that the transgender activists, and I say activists, I want to make this very clear. There's a difference between the activists and the transgender players out there and just transgender people who just, they do what they do and they want to mind their own business. They understand what they are and they don't force anything on anybody. I think there's a big difference between those two groups. But this group is the one that the mainstream embraces. What you're seeing right here is the group that the mainstream embraces. Okay? They want you to be pushed out, and when I say you, I mean women, to be pushed out of your own spaces so that they can come in and take them over. They want to be able to rule the roost. They want to be able to dominate. They want to say what's what and get away with pretty much anything. They can say and do anything to you if you resist them because you're a bigot and a transphobe and a this and a that. And actual women, they suffer because a society currently, the mainstream society currently views someone like Miss Misty Violet as an actual woman while actual women are pushed aside. Called birthing people, not mothers anymore, that kind of stuff. You'll notice a slow takeover of society in that regard. Women are under attack. There's no getting around it now. This guy just completely gave away the game. He was brutally honest. Absolutely honest. There was no dancing around the bush. It was straightforward. We're going to beat him. We're going to beat the S out of him and prove that we're better. They're jealous of women and so they hate women. That's really what this boils down to. We can't let this continue. We have to, as a society, stand up and say no more. You can be whatever you want to be, but stop forcing it on everybody else.